Peace to the peoples. Peace to the peoples. We here. Time for another weekly check-in with the brothers up north. We also trying to get in contact with a few sisters up north so we can get the female perspective of what's going on for those of y'all who are living under a rock and unaware. The Department of Corrections and Community Supervision in New York State are in the midst of an illegal strike. And, they've been walking out. The National Guard is in there taking their place. There has been several deaths. The strike started shortly after officers were indicted for Robert Brooks' death. Then there were 2 deaths in Sing Sing. I'm sorry, I don't know their names. It hasn't really been promoted like that. I understand one of them supposedly was a suicide. And more recently, we had another death of the brother. And then we in mid-state corrections, also Marcy County. Hello. There we go. It's right across your. Here comes the phone call. I'm also waiting for Battle Boy and Smitty to call, but they haven't been called. But here comes, this is the brother right here. So let's.
Hello, this is a prepaid call from an incarcerated individual at New York State Department of Corrections and Community Supervision. This call is subject to recording and monitoring. An incarcerated individual's use of institutional telephones constitutes consent, and your calls may be provided to law enforcement agencies. To accept charges, press 1. To refuse charges. Preventing suicide is important. If you have concerns during this call, please contact the individual's facility to communicate with them. Thank you for using Securus. You may start the conversation now.
Peace. What's going on?
Peace. Good. How you doing?
I'm doing all right, man. How you doing up in there?
No, man. Weather in the storm.
Yeah, so we here, we live. It's just me for right now. I'm hoping Battle Boy and Smitty join in, but it's just me for right now. This is we checking in with the brother David Sell up north to see what's going on. It's been a several developments since last week when we talked. I want to start out. I had tried to send you an article, but they shot it back about the brother Messiah Nancy who died in Mid-State. Which I was just telling them is like literally across the street from Marcy where they killed Robert Brooks at. It's not a lot of information about that. We do know that it was 15 correctional staff members. Doesn't say whether it was COs or civilians were put on administrative leave based on whatever happened. I've heard rumors that he was beat to death and that the National Guard stood there and watched the correctional staff beat him to death. What's the word y'all are getting on the inside?
Yeah, I mean the only thing that we're seeing on the news is that 9 officers, the Attorney General's office stated that 9 officers were involved with that death. So out of the 11, 15 that were placed on administrative leave, they say 9 were responsible for it. That's what we hear them. Whatever we getting off the news.
Yeah. Now I refuse to believe that that's a coincidence. That I don't know if you're aware that particular brother was on the news a couple of years ago when he got arrested. He had got arrested for a shooting in Harlem on 125th Street, and he also had an attempt murder on a police officer, which, as you and I know from personal experience, you go upstate for doing something to a cop or trying to do something to a cop, the correctional officers, they give you a hard time. They want to put their hands on you. It's kind of really it's ridiculous because the NYPD could care less about New York State correctional officers, but they feel for some reason they feel akin to them or whatever. And I'm mincing words. They're abusive. They abuse people who have crimes against police officers. So I don't think it was a coincidence that he was targeted. I think that is that's what I wanted to talk to you about too. I think that is the audacity of them in a time like this, right after Robert Brooks' death, and then there were 2 deaths in Sing Sing, and amidst this illegal strike, this is why I try to say they think that this is their birthright to treat us like animals. The audacity of them to do something like this in this particular climate is just amazing to me.
And going back with individuals that have crimes against police officers, that's been the culture since the 70s. I know people that have been incarcerated since the 70s and 80s. To this day, still have problems with the officers because of those crimes.
Yeah, absolutely.
These officers. And I'm talking about this. This is carrying. This is following up for decades. Even those who were terminated, if they come back tomorrow, no disciplinary procedures will be implemented. There's no accountability.
No. And they've been turning stuff down. A few things have been presented to them, and they've been turning it down because they realize that they're in a position to do so.
Right.
And what I was unaware of, what I didn't even realize was that I personally don't see it getting any better when this happens. But Ramadan starts on the 28th of February. And this presents a whole new problem because now you have these Muslim brothers and sisters up north who are fasting during the daylight hours and are supposed to come together as a community and break their fast and pray together when the sun goes down, and in this current state are going to be unable to do that. And there are laws against preventing them from doing so. So I'm curious to see how they handle that and how people are going to react.
Yeah, that's been the chatter too. The chatter is still what a sticky surface is. Something that's a constitutional right and take it. So if you can take it to break once a day, we could make some accommodations so that so individuals could get to their services. It's like day to day we just trying to figure out what's going on. What's going on with rent? What's going on with sick call? What's going on with compensation? What's going on with legal call? Showers. And there's no life in here. The morale is down, and it's like COVID restrictions all over again. Like people just ready for a sense of normalcy. And when that normalcy comes back, you're going to have a whole other issue. You're going to have, one thing you're going to have a civil war in here with officers that did strike and officers that didn't strike. And you know who's going to be the casualties behind that? We are.
That's a good point. I need
to think about that. There's layers to this. You have in 2 weeks, right? I haven't done my research, but I'm pretty sure in 2 weeks, when this strike began, you have more individuals dying in prisons, in these prisons, than you did first 2 weeks or the first 2 months of COVID. So you had individuals commit suicide. You had individuals die for medical reasons, and you had individuals being assaulted by officers. Three different reasons: medical, mental, and abuse. And we talk about humanity. You're talking about taking away hope. Let's not say repeal hope. Let's use one of the main words in that acronym: humanity against solitary confinement. Humanity. Well, here we go, extending them humanity, extending them forgiveness and mercy if they come back to work tomorrow. And these are all the things most of them won't extend to the incarcerated individual, or they want to take from us by repealing law. Like where's the accountability? You can't keep coddling them because that's not going to address the underlying issues.
Yeah. And you want to know something else that I didn't even take notice of? My brother Jai Ace, I don't know why they're not here. He had pointed out that, suddenly on social media, we're starting to see a lot of videos of inmate on inmate violence in several different facilities. We've never seen this before. But suddenly these videos are becoming available to the public, and they're trying to paint a picture like that it's so unsafe inside of these prisons. And they show, I seen one recently with some guys fighting with the officers, but they don't show what the officers did to provoke it or what started it. They give you a little clip of the guys and they say, oh my God, look at this savagery, and this is why they striking. And I think that is again, none of this is a coincidence. Where were these videos at before? Why have we never seen these before?
You know, that's how they contribute to the narrative.
Yeah.
As long as they can control the narrative, they're gonna be able to do what they want. And that's what they're doing. They're controlling a narrative. You know, you have them saying how unsafe it is. You know, they have their kids out there on the picket line, and they just want their daddy to come home. But yet, you have two individuals that were killed recently that aren't coming home. So, you know, where's the outrage behind that? But this narrative is so negative towards the incarcerated that most people don't even care.
No, they don't. I've been arguing with people on TikTok and stuff, of people talking about the brother Messiah that just recently got killed, and people start to bring up, oh, well, he was locked up for this and he was locked up for that. And I'm like, what does that have to, what does his crime have to do with anything? How does that excuse them beating that man to death? Like, who gets to decide? Who gets to decide who should die for specific crimes? So I feel if I feel like you're a liar and you should be beat to death for lying, is that valid? Why do they get to decide that this man deserves to die because he did XYZ when he was in the street? It doesn't make any sense to me. But these are the things that people are saying.
And it just goes back to the narrative that they have created. They've created a narrative where that's how people are feeling. But let me tell you what's even more disturbing about the Robert Brooks situation and the young man. What's that young man's name again that was just murdered?
Messiah. I don't know if I'm saying his last name right. It's Nantwee. It looks like Nantwee.
All right. Here's what's disturbing about that, right? So, in both cases, the attorney general's office has to accuse himself.
Say it again. Hold on. I don't think we can hear it. It was a little muffled. Say that again.
In both those cases, the Robert Brooks case and the Messiah case, the Attorney General's office has to accuse himself because they represented, or they currently represented, some of those officers involved in both cases in lawsuits filed against them. So the warriors were there. These are officers that were a problem. So how do we address that? Maybe this could have been avoided if these lawsuits that the incarcerated are filing against these same officers were taken seriously.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I don't know how they're going to resolve this strike and all that, but I feel like, you know, what they're going to try to do is get these officers back to work and make all of this go away and try to pretend like these things never happened. Even though these, at least two brothers, like I said, I heard there were two other deaths in Sing Sing. Hasn't really been a lot being said about that. I heard it was a suicide in Sing Sing and another death in Sing Sing that I'm not sure what happened, but I haven't really seen any coverage about that. But we know for a fact, we know of Robert Brooks and Messiah Nantwee. And I just feel like they're going to try to make it go away after they get these people back to work. But they're going back to work eventually.
They're gonna go back. I think tomorrow is gonna be telling. Tomorrow is gonna be telling. And I mean, what they're offering them, I don't think they're gonna refuse it. Especially, you know, after they terminated a few officers, some design, they might have been thinking twice about that, about these dining. The ones that got terminated might have regretted even getting involved with this. So the fact that they did do that, that's going to be an incentive for a lot of them to come back to work. And I think a lot of them will come back to work more.
Well, only time will tell, man. Only time will tell. I mean, so like, give us an idea. Like, so how exactly is it looking from your perspective? Like, Are y'all in your cell 24 hours a day? How are you able to access the showers? I mean, unfortunately, now y'all have the phone app, so y'all can actually call. You can call your people and message your people from in your cell. I can't imagine if y'all didn't have that, how rough it would be. But what's going on in there?
So every prison is different, right? Here we all get like 1 hour a day. So the only thing that we're being afforded is 1 hour rest and showers.
Okay. So they all letting y'all out for an hour a day.
Right. And ironically, the showers are like cold, lukewarm. So that's no coincidence.
All right, and you was talking about access to medical and all that. How has that been happening?
Yeah, that's an issue. So you have people putting down for sick call, and I think the biggest issue is getting the bed, getting a script bill. You got people waiting a few days for that. You got people waiting a couple of weeks for that. And that's one of the issues. I mean, you might have an individual that has high blood pressure. He needs his bed. Yeah. And they're taking 2 weeks to get his bed. So even with the brother in Walker, he's not over medical. So you don't know what the situation. He might have needed his bed and couldn't get his script filled. We're not getting a lot of information, but in any event, you don't see 5 individuals die in prison in a 2-week span.
Nah, I cannot remember a time when I heard of so much death. Even the whole time I was in prison, where I heard of so much death in such a short period of time. But they would lead the public to believe that this is happening, like people are just dying and killing each other all the time. And it's not true. And when people do die, it's usually at the hands of correctional staff.
Right. So not only are so many deaths, but for so many different reasons.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's for so many different reasons. So, that's an eye opener right there.
Yeah, I try. Go ahead.
We gotta start talking about solutions. We really gotta start talking about solutions, because our system is well overdue for some solutions. For businesses that are meaningful. Not to say look good on the surface, but they're meaningful. Listen, I'm a strong believer that punishment, especially in prison, right? Punishment in prison doesn't change behavior. It just makes people a lot more angry. Right? And to me, this is an easy fix. This is an easy fix with some overdue humanity sprinkled on it. A good time bill. A real good time bill. Not 6 months off of a 25-year sentence. I'm talking about a day-for-day bill where you have to program, and you have to stay out the way, you got to stay out of trouble to receive it. Do you think that will change the entire system?
Absolutely it will.
People, for a day for day, like for New York State to be so progressive, we don't have any good time. For us to be a progressive state, we are not seeing any type of progressive action within the prison system. Go ahead, bro.
No, I would say somebody commented, Brother Lamar Scott said, we out here fighting for change in prison and court sentencing.
And that's right. And it's happening. You know what? Back in the 90s, you never seen this type of movement out there. Right? We see it happening. But in order for us, right, we need support. And for us to get that support, we have to counter that negative narrative. And the way we do that, we have to highlight success stories. And there's a lot of success stories out there.
No, absolutely.
We have to highlight people that are coming home from prison, they're doing good things.
Now, you never see that. My wife and I have been talking about trying to make a documentary for years, because you only hear the bad stories. You never hear the guys who come home and rebuild their lives and start companies and careers and families, and you never hear about that. And I know off the top of my head, I know 10 guys that have done amazing things since getting out of after spending double digits in prison. So if I personally know 10 people, that means there's thousands of them across the country.
And you know, we're talking about men and women that are incarcerated that are loved. So, you know, it's not just one time, it's the family one time too. It's the family going through this pain. It's a family that'll never see Robert Brooks or Messiah come home. It's a family, and their stories need to be highlighted as well. We have to show that his fathers must have had all love my children, my parents. I mean, it has to come a point where prison reform is not a taboo topic. Where, you know, in an election year, right, sadly, in an election year, we're in here and we're not expecting any change because it's an election year. Nobody wants to attach their name to a bill that's going to benefit us during an election year. That's sad. That's sad. But this is what happens when politics is interwoven into our system.
Yeah, nobody wants to be there because, again, people don't want to acknowledge the fact that they all come home one day, and if they're inside for however many years, and you don't afford them the opportunity to learn anything, to change anything about themselves, what do you think they're coming home to do? That'd be my question.
All it is, I'm gonna be honest with you. Everything that we're seeing is showing that our system is geared more towards punishment than rehabilitation.
Absolutely. There is no rehabilitation.
And that's the problem. No, there isn't, because you have men and women, like, when is enough time enough? Right? Who's assessing people on an individual basis to see if they're ready to re-enter society?
Well, they claim they're going to claim that that's what the parole board is doing.
Yeah, but you can have you serving a 25-year life there, and you change. I've seen this. You change within a year of the bid. So further incarceration is only going to damage you. Once a person has reached, and I wish they would do a study on this. Once a person has reached their apex in rehabilitation, right? Further incarceration can only damage you mentally, psychologically, emotionally. Like, let's do a study on that. How damaging that is.
Yeah, that makes sense.
If God's whole purpose is to rehabilitate a man or a woman, right? They're not doing such a good job. I was standing in the yard. And I stood there and I did the math on how much time each of us had in. And standing right there, three of us, we had a combined 105 years served in prison.
Yeah.
Oh, when is enough? 105 years amongst three people. When is enough? And as soon as we get in some momentum with, you know, these bills being passed and comprehensive change, it goes a smoke screen. It goes a strike to set us back. And to be honest with you, that's all it is a smoke screen. I don't really think they want a lot of these bills to be passed. You know, at the end of the day for them, it's job security. So you know what they're going to scream every day.
They don't want no
dangerous.
Absolutely. Right. These counties, these towns are dependent upon the prison to survive.
And we're talking about generational job security.
Yeah. Like I said, the birthright.
Job security for them.
They're told from their children, when you get older, you're going to work in the jail. You're going to do this. You can do. They feel it's their birthright. They know. I've been in facilities with 3 generations of the same family. I've been in facilities like that with 3 generations of the same family in the jail.
And then these children are being indoctrinated indoctrinated to believe that, we're all animals.
Mm-hmm.
Prime example, you have these children out on the picket line. I forget one sign said. It has something to do with her father getting punched in the face and his jaw broken. And I'm like, anything to further their cause, they're going to do, they're going to say.
I had a discussion. I had a back and forth with a dude on Facebook the other day about that. I tried to say, I'm not saying that there is no violence against correctional staff inside. But what people need to understand is this is not unprovoked. If you assault a staff member, you are going to be severely, and you are going to be rearrested and charged with a new felony with assault on staff and get more time. Nobody's walking around putting their hands on staff members for no reason. It takes an extreme amount of provocation to get someone to do something to a correctional staff member. I don't know why people refuse to understand that. If a guy does something to a correctional staff member, that staff member has likely been antagonizing them for an extended period of time.
These people aren't educated. I mean, we're educated because, we've been in prison. So we know what's going on. I mean, last year they claimed, let's just say last year they claimed 1,000 assaults on staff. How many of those do you think was really valid?
No, and that's another thing people got to understand. When you hear assault on staff has to be charged to justify beating someone up. Assault on staff, when they feel like they need to put their hands on somebody or kick somebody down the stairs and all that, they didn't charge him with assault on staff because that's the justification. He needed to be restrained. That's the justification.
These are the numbers I'm looking for, right? Once these body cams are implemented statewide, like every facility has a body cam. Let me know what the stats are, assaults on staff, the following year.
Yeah.
And I guarantee you it'll be reduced by over 90%.
At least.
We've seen that in Attica. Once the cameras came up in Attica, our following year, they probably had 5 assaults on staff.
All right, I'm back. I don't know what happened. They tapping in. But I'm saying, remember we was in D Block in Attica, and the police came upstairs. They cracked my son. They was like, "Sergeant, want to see you." And I walked down the tier, my slippers, my shorts, a t-shirt, and a do-rag. And I got to the door, to the gate, and I was like, "What's up?" And they was like, "Yo, come downstairs. Sergeant want to see you." Now, being as though I'm not a jackass, and I've been there, I know you cannot come off the tier without being fully dressed. So I was like, nah, tell the sergeant come see me if you want to talk to me. And I ran back down the tier to my side. I remember dudes cheering, like, yeah, go back in yourself. And I remember I ran back down the tier and tied my gate closed because I understood their tactics. They get you on the stairs, they handcuff you, they get you on the stairs and kick you down the stairs where there's no camera because there's no cameras on the stairwell. And then they say, oh, he resisted. We had to restrain him. And then my arm is broke and something else, and I'm in the hospital and I got an assault on staff. And people don't realize these are the type of things that they do.
No, they do. They try to attack me on me. I slammed my feet and said, tell the sergeant to come see me. I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah.
You know what I did? I got out that block. But it was real back then.
It was real. I remember the sergeant When the sergeant finally came to my cell, I remember the sergeant telling me, people act like it didn't happen. It was like some straight shit. I remember the sergeant coming to my cell and telling me that his officers in D block were closely, a tightly knit group, not like other blocks. And the only way I was getting out of D block was on a stretcher. And I remember telling him, my grandmother, may she rest in peace, I told him, not if my grandmother got anything to do with it, because I already let her know y'all trying to get me, and she gonna be on the phone. And 2 days later, he came back to my son. I was like, please tell your grandmother stop calling people. I never forget that. Yeah, you was right. You was my neighbor.
Yeah, it's the culture. So how do you change a culture that's been thriving for decades? How do you change a culture?
I don't know, man. But this, like you said, this current situation is likely to set it back. It's not going to be a lot of positive things coming out of this.
That's why we need to focus. We need to focus on getting these bills passed. We need to focus on. I remember the first time we heard of a good time bill was the Montgomery bill, and a lot of and now remember that. And we
You have 1 minute left.
18 years ago. But we need to get this elder parole bill passed. That fair and timely parole, the Second Look Act, Earned Time Act, the Martha Mayfield Act. These are the bills that we need to focus on, so we can get these brothers and sisters out of prison. So we can give people hope.
We have to find a way to get the public more involved, to get the public more interested in passing these bills. The public in general has written dudes off that are in prison, like out of sight, out of mind. And so until they're more involved, I don't know what we're gonna do. But the phone getting ready to cut off. Yeah.
I appreciate the platform, man. I'm on deck whenever you need me. I love you. And listen, man, the fight continues, man.
Absolutely.
We're not gonna stop. All right, bro.
All right, love you too, bro. I'll talk to you soon next week.
All right, cool.
All right, peace.
Thank you for using Securus. Goodbye.
But there you have it, y'all. The state of affairs up top is ugly. It's getting uglier. We trying, man. We trying. Like I said, if you know somebody in prison, you know somebody that was in prison, try to talk to people. The public needs to be more involved and more concerned about what's going on behind those walls. And like I said, if not for any other reason, if you want to ignore the fact that these are human beings, that these are people's mothers and fathers and brothers and sisters and uncles and aunts, understand that they all come home one day. And if you lock a man away in a cage and treat him like an animal for 10 plus years, or however many years, and then one day you bust the cage door open and you let him out, what are they going to do? What are they supposed to do? How are they going to survive? How are they going to adapt to a whole new world? Everybody is not as. I was fortunate when I was in prison, when I maintained connections with the streets, my family, my wife. I was fortunate. My son only had one child at the time. I was fortunate to be able to maintain those connections because the entire world changed while I was in prison. I went to prison in 1997. I got out of prison in 2011. Nothing was the same. Everything changed. But although I wasn't there for a lot of the changes, via the telephone, via the visiting room, via letters, I was able to, kind of keep up a little bit. Some people don't have any of that. They have no access to outside. They're like in the dark for 20 years. And then one day, the lights is on. What do you expect these people to do? Just a question, just something to think about. Yeah, Donna Robinson said we are all a stone's throw away from being hostages. That's a fact. That's the thing that really kills me when I be going back and forth with people on social media, that they think that this can't happen to them or to their loved ones or somebody that they care about, like that. You don't have to be actually guilty of anything to go to prison. Not in New York. I ain't never been in prison. No, not a lot. I've been in prison in another state. It's a long time ago, and I was guilty. So that's a whole nother story. But you don't have to be prison and guilty to go to prison. You don't have to be guilty to get stopped by the police, to get harassed by the police, to get beat up by the police. You just don't have to. I mean, you can listen. Speaking of that, hold on. I'm gonna show you something. I just finished, and we support. I don't know what happened to Battle Boy and Smitty, but we are trying to arrange an interview with the brother Edwin Raymond. Y'all should go check this out. Y'all see this? This is his book, An Inconvenient Cop. Mr. Raymond is a young brother from he's my Haitian brother. He's from my neighborhood, from Flatbush. He was a cop for 14 years. They say he's the highest ranking whistleblower in the NYPD. He went in there and he refused to stand by and watch as the NYPD used quotas to target men and women of color and over police areas where men and women, where people of color live. And he stood up against it. He's still standing up against it, even though he's not a cop anymore. You're welcome, Lakeisha. That's David's family. He said thanks. She said thank you. Yeah. What is that? Donna said, "Amen. Living while black is a crime in America." Yeah, absolutely is. And it's fortunate that there are some black people that don't understand that. I have these conversations with people on social media all the time, particularly on TikTok. I'm on TikTok a lot. I'm trying to get my TikTok people over here. If y'all watching TikTok, come over here. Because they're going to take that from us eventually. But just because you happen to have lived someplace your entire life and where you were never subjected to these types of things or never had to witness it, that you only see it on TV, doesn't mean it can't happen to you. You got to open your eyes and realize that at any moment, you can be victimized and fall victim to these same types of things. At any moment, you can be attacked by the police. You can be locked up for something that you had nothing to do with, for a misunderstanding. Anything can happen, particularly in today's climate. Shit is real volatile in the streets. People saying crazy stuff, But I'm not going to talk you out of death. It is 10:06 at night. I'm about to get off here and call Smitty and Battle Boy and be like, "The hell happened to y'all?" But we be back. Like I said, we're going to talk to some other people. I'm going to continue to do the weekly check-in with David, but we're going to talk to other people. We're going to try to get a couple other people's. I'm working on getting a female so we can get a woman's perspective on what they're dealing with amidst this strike. If anybody knows anybody that would like to come on, no anybody upstate that would like to come on and share their perspective, hit me on Facebook Messenger or TikTok. Forgive My Brooklyn. Let me know what's going on. Instagram. I don't have a Facebook. I'm lying. Instagram, Forgive My Brooklyn, and TikTok, and let me know, and we'll get them on. Donna said, "Be well, brother. Thank you. My daughter's in Bedford Hills." If she want to talk, I would love to hear from her. I would love to hear. That's one thing we never do. Like I said, they always paint a picture of men in prison. We never hear from the women. I would love to hear from a woman what's going on right now, how they're being treated by the National Guard, or even if the correction officers in these female facilities are striking like everybody else. That's something we're not even sure if the same things are going on in there. So please tell her we can hook it up. Like I said, message me and we'll figure out, man. I appreciate all of y'all watching, man. Forgive My Brooklyn. A lot going on TV. See y'all soon, man. Peace.